Does it differ from one person to the next? Does it change over time? To me, happiness is being in a state marked by pleasure, satisfaction, or joy. In short, when I feel happy, I have a good feeling inside. It is a condition of supreme well-being and good spirits. I believe everyone wants to be happy. Some people are definitely more fulfilled than others. Some would go through great lengths in achieving happiness, where happiness can be packaged and marketed as in drugs and alcohol or in fashion and lifestyle. Some people are happy with material things, whereas there are a handful of people who are happy with their high achievements. Moving on. Children's perspective of happiness are different from their parents. In his book, I Just Want My Kids to Be Happy, Eric Cooper wrote that parents in the United States of America often took great efforts in making their children happy, but when these children are interviewed, they are not happy at all. Ladies and gentlemen, what could have gone wrong? Parents have the misconception that by showering gifts and giving material things to their children, they're giving happiness to their children. But all they need is different. We want quality time with our parents. Even Adam Kuhn, a famous motivator, commented that material happiness doesn't last. It just gives a quick fix. To him, what makes him feel happy is when he sees his children playing and laughing. As children grow into teenagers, they pursue happiness differently. Social experts discovered that teenagers have 3 goals in mind in pursuing happiness: the pleasure of the moment, the long-term search of meaning and purpose, and relationship with family and friends. In short, family, friends, and faith. This explains why teenagers spend most of their time connecting with friends through social networking websites like Facebook, Twitter, or even SMSs, because they do not get this from their parents. My dear friends, the things that bring me happiness has certainly changed. When I was a little girl, I used to enjoy going to fast food restaurants for lunch, like KFC, McDonald's. My sisters and I would enjoy the freebies that come along with it. And as I grew into a teenager, I also derived pleasure from connecting with friends through social networking websites and SMSs. But as I grew older, I find that my happiness was not complete. There was something missing in my life. Finally, when I pursued my faith in doing praise and worship with my church youth, I have a sudden overwhelming feeling of joy, satisfaction, and pleasure, and I know that my happiness was complete. To my dad, he always tells us that he likes spending time with us. He used to quote to my mom from a famous sitcom, "Happiness is hard to come by, but you have given me more than my share." He always tells us that he likes it when my mom buys him simple, small gifts. It doesn't have to be expensive. He said it was the thought that counts. And I'm pretty sure this also applies to your parents out there. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, let us all pursue happiness in our own unique way. It can just be in simple things like a smile, your relationship with your friends and family. It doesn't have to be in big things or in material things. So let us all pursue it in our own way. Happiness doesn't just come by. It comes from the soul. I quote, "We tend to forget that happiness is not by getting the things that we don't have, but rather of appreciating the things that we do have. By Frederick Kenoe. Thank you.
Honorable judges, my dear teachers, and my fellow friends from around the nation. So let me first ask you a question. How many of you want to get in the next test, let's say, 7 A's? You can put up your hands if you want to. Okay, that's good. How about 9 A's? Can you get 9 A's? Okay, that's awesome. Keep building up. Can I take you to 16 A's? Brilliant. That's still not quite what I want. How many of you want 21 A pluses? Okay, that's excellent. Now, straight A's, ladies and gentlemen. As we can see, it's the most desirable thing to have for a student in this day and age. So many of us want it. Not so few of us can actually achieve it. And what about those students who can't achieve it, or who aren't destined for those straight A's? What do they think of themselves? How do they view themselves? Which brings me to my topic today. It's show up, and it concerns students who study meticulously in the hope of scoring insanely excellent results. Now let me take you back about a month ago to my own home. My mom and I were in the dining room. I had just finished dinner, I was doing my homework, and my mother was online reading the Star newspaper. And so my sister came in, really visibly distressed and upset. And she says she's a failure because her teachers have set her a target of scoring 7 A's for a PMR. And it's May, and all she's been getting is 5 A's. And because of this, she's so depressed. She thinks she'll never be good enough for anything, for anyone. And yes, I can see where my sister is coming from. But to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, what my mother said after that changed my outlook on the entire studying thing altogether. Now, throughout life, people will expect certain things of you. And while it's good to try and live up to these expectations, it's good to aim high and push yourself, we should never measure ourselves based on someone else's expectations of us. Rather, we should be measuring ourselves based on our own limits. So, if our best performance can get us 3 or 4 A's, and we're getting that, why do we have to be frustrated that we're not getting 7 A's, 9 A's? That's like putting a car next to an airplane, and the car goes, oh my gosh, it was such an awful machine. I can't go at 4,800 kilometers per hour. When in fact the car is a Rolls Royce, and people think it's pretty good for a car. Now let's take studying and doing exercises, for example. It's an activity I'm more or less familiar with. So, doing exercises. On one end of the spectrum, you have students who will study from sun up till sundown, 3 hours per subject. Yes, in the whole day, I don't know how. And they'll spend the whole evening at tuition. Now, I'm not here to say anything against these students. I think they're brilliant, and they're doing a method which they feel is right. However, on the other end of the spectrum, you have these students who won't do anything, just laze around the whole day. Facebook again? I like the Facebook, but I hate to face my book. Now these students, when they complain about not getting good results, you often tend to wonder, what's going on? Now the best thing to do for those students who feel as though they can't go all out studying from the very beginning of the year, the best thing is to just show up every day and do the work that they have to do. Maybe 20, 30 minutes of studying per day. And while that may not seem like a large amount, ladies and gentlemen, you take that amount, you multiply it by the days, weeks, the semesters, you make a ton of difference in this final exam. So yes, they are brilliant students, and then there are brilliant students who, after missing 1 A, will become depressed, upset, some even suicidal. Now, my point is basically, we should try and strike a balance between berating ourselves for 1 missed A and being self-satisfied with mediocre results. What we should try to do is to appreciate what we're given, to put in good effort for what we know is our maximum point, to put in that effort, to try our best. And then the rest is in God's hands. What more can you ask for when you've done your best? ladies and gentlemen. So basically, if we just show up and do the work, we can change a great deal in our lives. Otherwise, we'll be measuring ourselves based on other people's perspectives, always living our life trying to impress somebody else. And then you can never be happy without a concern as to your own goals. So I say, judge yourself by your own standards. And with that, I'd say it was a great pleasure sharing this information with you, and I thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I bid the honorable judges, accurate timekeeper, and members of the floor, I stand before you here today to change the way you live. Today I'm here to say that life is about living. Life is about living. A simple statement, but do you understand what it really means? You see, ladies and gentlemen, treasures of our society today has turned the good citizens of Malaysia into mindless zombies who are all work and no play. You see people walking around carrying briefcases with a dazed, vacant expression on their face, not even pausing to say hi to the people they know or make small conversation with the people beside them in the bus. It's always the next project, the next work, the next bit of thing that needs completing. Slowly but surely, ladies and gentlemen, we are losing our humanity and spiraling towards becoming living machines. Mary Kay Ash, founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, once said this: some people drift through their entire lives. They do it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. It happens so slowly that they are unaware of the days slipping through their fingers until it's too late. Think of all the people who swore when they were little children to fulfill all sorts of wonderful dreams. What happened? I'll tell you what happened, ladies and gentlemen. They traded in those dreams for a bigger paycheck. Now don't get me wrong. I am not saying that work is bad. No, on the contrary, work is good. But too much work and you lose the very meaning of life. And you'll end up a soulless robot. This needs to change, ladies and gentlemen. This needs to change now. We need to start living. In my opinion, there are two aspects to living a life worth living. The first is to enjoy the life you have. Don't you think it's about time you took a break from your boring daily routines to do the things that you enjoy doing? Think about it. We've only got one life. Why not live it to the fullest? Go see the world, or soak up the rich, diverse cultures of this country. Go climb a mountain. Go jump off a mountain. Go learn Spanish. Call up an old friend for lunch. Make every second of your life count. Do the things you love with the people you love. After all, isn't that what life is all about? The second aspect is to aspire to make this world a better place. You see, ladies and gentlemen, when you do good, good things happen to you. That's the law of nature. You reap what you sow. When you do your part for this world that we live in, you will find yourself greatly rewarded in life. But more than that, doing something good for the world gives you a feeling of purpose and direction. It makes you feel good about yourself. And in turn, that inspires you to do more. In the words of Rowan Atkinson, no man is complete until he has done something for the good of those around him. This next part, ladies and gentlemen, is important. Life is about living, correct? So how do we live in times of adversity, through difficult times, when life hurls all sorts of unpleasant things our way? How do we live then? Let me tell you how, ladies and gentlemen. You pick yourself up and you move on. Randy Pausch, lecturer of Carnegie Mellon University, was told that he had pancreatic cancer, one of the most aggressive sorts of cancer in the world. His response to this was to walk right back into his lecturing theatre, do several push-ups on the floor, and boldly tell his students that he was in better shape than most of them. Ladies and gentlemen, this man would not let his problems get the better of him. And that's the attitude that we need to adopt. We can't change the cards we are dealt, just how we play the hand. So don't be bogged down by all these problems. Live your life your way, even in the face of something as drastic as a terminal illness. When you can do that, ladies and gentlemen, then you are living the life you should be proud of. Life is about living, so we can choose to live as though nothing in the world is a miracle. But we can also choose to live as though everything in the world is a miracle. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to appreciate the little things in life. It can be as simple as sharing a bus ride home with your friend, laughing around the dinner table with your family, or having a long phone conversation with someone you love. It's these little things that make life such a wonderful thing. When you are, in every sense of the word, happy. These are the little grains of magic in our lives. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say this. We have a responsibility in making sure that we are served a full helping of life. No one else can stand in the buffet line for you. If you let something else determine the main course of your lives, then you will not get what you want. So, ladies and gentlemen, live a life that you would be proud of. Be inspired. Live your life. Thank you.
Eventually become. And God forbid anything interrupt their master plan. After all, Mommy and Daddy always know best. These expectations range from taking up accepted activities, such as learning the piano, to getting a string of A's, to eventually becoming a professional, and finally, marrying someone of their choice. We have been conditioned to believe that being second best is simply not good enough. After all, most of us know that the first man to set foot on the moon was Neil Armstrong. But how many of you know the poor man who was one small step behind? In fact, I was recently told that we're called Asians for a reason. Ladies and gentlemen, if we were meant to get B's and C's, we'd be called Besians and Cesians. Amy Chua, professor of law at Yale Law School, recently published her new memoir entitled Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother, in which she recounts her adventures in Asian parenting. Amy tells readers that she firmly believes an A- is a disgraceful grade, and the only activities that children should take part in are ones in which they can win medals, and that the medals must be gold. Her book sparked international outrage. After all, what kind of mother tells her 7-year-old daughter that her dollhouse is going to be dismantled and donated to the Salvation Army, piece by piece, if she does not master a piano composition by the next day? An inhuman, abusive, abnormal, yet intelligent, successful, visionary, loving one. Before I confuse you any further, take a look at the statistics. China has the world's fastest growing economy. As predicted by the Global Investment Bank, by the year 2035, India will have the world's third largest economy. And for 3 decades, Japan experienced such rapid economic growth, it was referred to as the Japanese post-war economic miracle. Filipinos are taking over hospitals as doctors and nurses. The Chinese have taken over production. Japanese have taken over technology, and Indians have taken over most computer-based jobs. Asians are taking over the world. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, Asian parenting works. Nothing beats good old-fashioned hard work and the ability to constantly strive for excellence that our parents have instilled in us lasts a lifetime. Nothing is ever fun until you're good at it, and most adolescents need to be pushed in the right direction before they can see the path clear out in front of them. 18-year-old Sophia Chua, daughter of Tiger Mom Amy Chua, says that her mother's tough love parenting methods raised her to be an independent thinker and a person who makes the most of new opportunities. She was offered places in both Harvard and Yale. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't agree with a lot of Tiger Mom methods. Personally, I feel the childhood of a person should remain just that, a childhood, a golden memory of being carefree, utterly oblivious to the stresses of life. But I do see a certain method to their madness. In today's ever-competitive world, life is a race, that takes no prisoners. Globalization has ensured we now live in a borderless world in which fame and fortune are ours for the taking, if we choose to pursue them. My solution is incredibly simple. Toe the middle path. In most cases, what we do in the early years of our life sets the tone for the next few decades. And keeping that in mind, it would be wise if parents ensure that children grow up with a sense of purpose and direction. Dear parents, in the words of Abigail Van Ruwen, if you want your children to keep their feet on the ground, put some responsibility on their shoulders, but never so much that you weigh down their dreams and personal ambitions. I cannot pretend to know how to parent a child, but I can share with you what I am glad my parents have done for me. My dear fellow adolescents, the crippling weight of the expectations of our parents, teachers, and society in general is a heavy burden to bear, but it is one that I know we must. Instead of buckling under the pressure, harness it so that you can achieve everything you could possibly want for yourself. Remember, opportunity knocks once. Make sure you open the door. Thank you.
There is now an addiction which has been found in 1 out of 3 people. No, it's not addiction to heroin or cocaine. This addiction is legal. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I are now exposed to, or perhaps already afflicted with the Facebook syndrome, also known as Facebook ITs. While many of us refuse to admit the lifeline that Facebook almost is for some of us, allow me to ask you to reflect upon your day-to-day cyber activities. If you are one who logs onto Facebook more than once every day and suffer from symptoms such as backache, neck ache, numbness at the rear and at the feet, as well as an unnecessarily high usage of acronyms and abbreviations, then you are, just as I am, a Facebook addict. Facebook, it's like a refrigerator. Even when you know there's nothing new, you still for some reason check on it every 10 minutes. Being a part of a generation that is so widely connected by Facebook, I would love to share with you my opinions on why we, or to be fairer, some of us, carry with ourselves a virtual name tag that says Facebook addict. Mohandas Gandhi once said, interdependence is and ought to be as much the ideal of men as self-sufficiency. Man is a social being. From the days when the pen pal system had helped humans to get to know people who are basically strangers, the world now still offers such opportunities in the form of social networking, and in this particular context, Facebook. We, being social beings, indulge in this convenient cyber technology because it satisfies our very basic desire of wanting to know and to communicate with people. With the search box, the ability to view friends of friends and friend suggestions, Facebook is a socializing heaven. However, within such an open online community, there is an issue of cyber safety. While it is a convenient thought to assume that people who want to add you should know you, this is not always true. Some of these people may be strangers, and a dire consequence to that is we would be sharing updates with people we do not know. Let's face reality. Some of us here, however, may insist on accepting friend requests from strangers. In this case, a wise thing to do is to block that individual from viewing your personal information. Back on a lighter note, ladies and gentlemen, Facebook is, as far as I'm aware of, the only place where you could talk to a wall and it would respond. Mothers have always said not to write on walls, but apparently on Facebook you can, because a wall is basically a channel where posts can be written on, and individuals who can read their posts can also post their comments. Humans like you and I have a natural tendency to want to know about people's lives, and if possible, for people to know what their lives. And Facebook gives you instant communication when it comes to, as I would like to term it, public discussions about personal matters. Ladies and gentlemen, Facebook allows you to catch up with each another without having to physically meet with friends, especially with Wi-Fi access and the option of using Facebook mobile. Last but not least, Facebook, with its almost countless number of social pages, satisfies our hunger for emotional connection. Believe it or not, there are over 900 million pages that people on Facebook interact with, consisting of groups, like pages, and community pages. These pages satisfies our emotional hunger. These pages relate to us. An example I would love to share with you is named as such. I can never finish my eraser. It either gets stolen or broken. Ladies and gentlemen, with like hits which occur from different people within seconds, these pages give me the sense of relatedness that not only I recognize small things, but many people around the world. Pages on Facebook are also very motivational. One that I came across recently is named as such. God performs miracles every day. Like this page if you agree. Simple but uplifting, ladies and gentlemen. However, my favorite pages are the humorous and the witty ones. Here's a good one. The teacher told the kid to make a sentence with green, pink, yellow, blue. So the student thought for a while and the student said, okay. The phone rang green, green. I picked up the phone and I said, yellow, blue's that. And the teacher was speechless. Before I end, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Mark Zuckerberg, our social life has been enhanced. From satisfying our curiosity to feeding our innate sense of curiosity and also giving us a sense of relatedness, but Facebook as a social network fulfills our social needs. Perhaps then, we are not merely a generation afflicted by Facebook ITs, but individuals who want to achieve emotional and social stability. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are few types of users' preferences, some of which are the extremely status updaters, the wall posters, the stalkers, and not forgetting, the ones who can never seem to spell correctly. Which are you, ladies and gentlemen? Regardless of your user preferences, we all have a dependent relationship with Facebook. Now, the question is, how dependent are you? Before I end my speech, I have a huge confession. I am in a relationship with Facebook, and it's pretty complicated. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Racing heartbeats. I'm sweating. I am so stressed out right now. Honorable judges, respected teachers, accurate timekeeper, and my fellow competitors. Salam satu Malaysia, and a very good morning. Today, I am going to present a very common topic that has been frequently discussed in our society. Say goodbye to stress. Members of the floor, have you ever heard of the 4 A's? No, they're not some kind of exam results. No, never. But actually the acronym for 4 useful steps that you can take to prevent stress. Since everyone has a unique response to stress, there is no one-size-fits-all solution to managing it. No single method works for everyone in every situation, so experiment with different techniques and strategies. Focus on what makes you feel calm and in control. The first A is avoid unnecessary stress. First, we must learn to say no. Whether it is in our professional or personal life, refuse to accept added responsibilities. Taking on more than you can handle is a surefire recipe for stress. Next, avoid people who stress you out. If someone is constantly causing stress in your life and you can't turn the relationship around, limit the amount of time you spend with that person or end the relationship entirely. We must also learn to control our environment. If traffic's gotten tense, take the longer but less traveled route. If going to the market is an unpleasant chore, do your grocery shopping online. Apart from that, avoid hot button topics. For example, if you get upset over politics or religion, cross them off your conversation list. Analyze your schedules, daily tasks and responsibilities. If you've got too much on your plate, distinguish between the musts and shoulds. Drop tasks that aren't truly necessary to the bottom of the list. we proceed with the second A, that is, alter the situation. If you can't avoid a stressful situation, try to alter it. Figure out what you can do to change things so that the problem does not present itself in the future. If something or someone is bothering you, communicate your concerns in an open and respectful way. We must also be willing to compromise. If you ask someone to change his behavior, then you must be willing to do the same. If you both bend at least a little, you will have a good chance of finding a happy middle ground and a life without stress. Be more assertive and deal with problems head on. If you've got an exam to study for and your chatty roommate just got home, say up front that you've only got 5 minutes to talk. Poor time management is also another cause of stress, so manage your time better. Honorable judges, teachers, and friends, the third A is adapt to the stressor. If you can't change the stressor, change yourself. Try to reframe problems and look at stressful situations from a more positive perspective. Rather than fumming about a traffic jam, look at it as an opportunity to pause and regroup. Listen to your favorite radio station or just to enjoy some time alone. Perfectionism is a major source of unavoidable stress, so set your standards. Stop setting yourself up for perfection by demanding. Set reasonable standards for yourself and others and learn to be okay with good enough. The final A is accept the things you can't change. You can't prevent or change certain stressors such as the death of a loved one, a serious illness, or a national recession. In such cases, the best way to cope with stress is to accept things as they are. Acceptance may be difficult, but in the long run, it's easier than railing against a situation you can't change. Many things in life are beyond our control, particularly the behavior of other people. Rather than stressing out over them, focus on the things you can change, such as the way you choose to react to the problem. Also, it is important to share your feelings. Talk to a trusted friend or make an appointment with a therapist. Express what you're going through, even if there is nothing that you can do to change the stressful situation. Besides, we must also learn to forgive. Accept the fact that we live in an imperfect world and that people make mistakes. Let go of anger and resentment. Free yourself from negative energy by forgiving and moving on. Members of the floor, beyond a take charge approach and a positive attitude, you can reduce stress in your life by nurturing yourself. If you make time for fun and relaxation, you'll be in a better place to handle life stressors when they inevitably come. Don't get so caught up in the hustle and bustle of life until you forget your own needs. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, nurturing yourself is a necessity, not a luxury. So I hope that these 4 steps that I have presented to you will come in handy, ladies and gentlemen. Start your life today and say goodbye to stress.
Life without a destiny is like chasing after a rainbow. It's aimless and endless. A very pleasant morning I bid to honorable adjudicators, accurate timekeeper, last but not least, members of the floor. My topic for today is that goals are important. Cliche, isn't it? You don't have a clue. Now, ladies and gentlemen, goals are indeed important because it acts as a driving factor for us to achieve what is it that we want in life. And goals are indeed important so that we know where we want to go next, ladies and gentlemen. But no, for today, I'm not going to talk to you about the cliche part of goals, such as getting straight A+ in SPM, having a good job and a good wage, having a big house, big wife, big family. But what I will be talking about today is that I want to invite you to open up your mind and see goals as how I see it, from my perspective, from my point of view. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to a scenario